Imagine, if you will, a world painted in shades of ochre and rust, a silent cold desert under a thin pink sky. This is Mars, and here, towering over the desolate plains, is a titan of a mountain, Olympus Mons. For decades we have gazed at it from afar, a colossal, dormant volcano, a monument to a violent, long-dead past. But what if the silence is a lie? What if the stillness is merely a facade? I am standing virtually at its base, where the first human explorers now tread, and among them whispers have begun to circulate. These are not the official reports you read on NASA's website. No, these are hushed conversations shared in the quiet moments inside the habitat, stories of phenomena that defy our understanding of this supposedly barren world. They speak of three strange occurrences, three impossible facts that science has yet to acknowledge, let alone explain. These are secrets that the mountain itself seems to guard jealously, hints of a reality far more complex and mysterious than we ever dared to dream. The air here is thin, the silence profound. But as the twin moons of Phobos and Deimos begin their nightly dance, a different kind of feeling settles over this alien landscape. It is a sense of being watched, a feeling of immense ancient presence. Join me as we follow Captain Aya, one of the first to walk these crimson sands, as she ventures closer to the great mountain to uncover the truth behind the astronauts' whispers and reveal the secrets that Olympus Mons has held for millennia. The descent was a masterpiece of controlled precision. Captain Aya guided the lander, the Endeavour, through the tenuous Martian atmosphere, its retro thrusters kicking up vast plumes of crimson dust. Her target was a stretch of seemingly stable ground on the gently sloping flank of Olympus Mons. The landing was perfect, a soft touchdown in a world of harsh edges. The mission to collect geological samples from the ancient lava flows. But from the moment her boots crunched onto the surface, Aya felt something was profoundly different. It was a sensation that no sensor could quantify, a deep, resonant thrum that seemed to rise from the very ground beneath her. As the Martian day, the soul, drew to a close, the phenomenon intensified. The sun, smaller and paler than Earth's, dipped below the horizon, casting impossibly long shadows that stretched for miles across the plains. It was then, in the deepening twilight, that the humming became a distinct rhythmic pulse. Aya placed her gloved hand against a slab of basaltic rock, its surface cold from the rapidly dropping temperature. Through the thick material of her suit, she felt it, a slow, steady beat like a colossal heart slumbering deep within the planet's crust. It was impossible. Olympus Mons was declared geologically dead eons ago. Her instruments, however, registered nothing. The seismometers were silent, the magnetometers stable. It was a ghost signal, a feeling without a source. Yet, it was undeniable. Aya stood there, a lone human figure dwarfed by the sheer scale of the volcano, listening to its secret rhythm. This was not the vibration of cooling rock or shifting tectonics. It was the slow, deep breath of something alive. The tremors were too regular, too biological. It felt like the slow, dreaming exhalations of a creature of unimaginable size. The whispers from her fellow astronauts came flooding back. They had all felt it, this deep planetary pulse, but had dismissed it as fatigue, or perhaps a trick of their own minds, unnerved by the profound isolation. But out here, alone with the mountain, Aya knew it was real. Olympus Mons was not dead. It was merely sleeping, a living entity, dreaming of fire and creation, its consciousness spread across a base the size of France. The mission had just changed. She wasn't just a geologist anymore. She was an explorer on the verge of a discovery that would redefine life itself. Aya looked up at the towering caldera, lost in the gathering darkness. What dreams did a mountain have? What ancient thoughts stirred in its magmatic heart? She had a chilling, yet exhilarating thought. The volcano wasn't simply waiting, it was aware. It knew she was here, a tiny, fleeting presence on its ancient skin. And, as the first stars pricked the purple-black sky, she felt a profound connection to the slumbering giant, an understanding that she was standing on something far more than just a mountain. The next soul brought a new mystery. Aya rose before the twin sons of dawn, determined to investigate the caldera's edge. As the first weak light crept over the horizon, painting the sky in soft shades of lavender and rose, she witnessed the second impossibility the astronauts had whispered about. From the jagged cliffs and deep ravines of the volcano, dark, ethereal shapes began to rise. They were like smoke, but they held their form, amorphous, shifting shadows detaching themselves from the rock and drifting into the still morning air. They were utterly silent, moving with a grace that defied the near vacuum. There was no wind. Aya checked her suit's external sensors repeatedly. The anemometer registered absolute calm. Yet, these phantom shapes coalesced and drifted, swirling in slow, deliberate patterns as if dancing to silent music. They were not dust devils, which required wind, nor were they gaseous emissions as her spectrometer showed no anomalies. They were simply shadows, floating shadows, detached from any object that could cast them, moving with a purpose she could not comprehend. They seemed to be made of pure darkness, absorbing the faint morning light. As she watched, mesmerized, a strange phenomenon occurred. Faint whispers seemed to echo in her helmet's communication system, a low, crackling static that almost sounded like voices. It was interference, surely, but it had a strange cadence. The whispers spoke of fire, of immense heat and pressure. Remember the fire, the flow, the sky burning. It was as if she was listening to a recording of the volcano's own history, a memory replaying in the thin air. The shadows swirled faster, their dance becoming more frantic, mimicking the chaotic surge of a pyroclastic flow. Aya realized what she was seeing. These were not living things, but echoes, the ghosts of ancient eruptions. The immense energy released during the volcano's active past had somehow imprinted itself onto the very fabric of this place. Every morning, as the first light touched the mountain, these spectral memories were replayed. A daily reenactment of the cataclysmic forces that had shaped this world. The mountain was not just dreaming, it was remembering. Its violent past was not gone, but perpetually relived in these silent, shadowy forms. She felt a shiver that had nothing to do with the Martian cold. To witness this was to see time itself become fluid. The past was not past, it was present, playing out in a ghostly theater for an audience of one. The whispers grew fainter as the sun rose higher, and the shadows began to thin, dissolving back into the rocks from which they came, their morning ritual complete. Aya was left standing in the silence, the memory of the fire whispers, still echoing in her mind. The mountain had shown her its dreams, and now, its memories. What other secrets did it hold? Driven by a new sense of purpose, Aya abandoned her original geological survey. The mountain was communicating, and she needed to understand its language. She began exploring the vast network of lava tubes that riddled the volcano's flanks, colossal caverns left behind by rivers of molten rock. For days she navigated these dark, echoing tunnels, her headlamp cutting a lonely beam through the millennia of silence. Most were empty, cathedral-like spaces of cooled basalt. But then, in a tube far deeper than any previously explored, her light fell upon something that made her heart stop. It was not a natural formation. Carved into the smooth, obsidian-like wall was a doorway. Its design was elegant and alien, with sweeping curves and geometric patterns unlike any human aesthetic. It was sealed, but a section of the wall next to it was covered in a series of intricate symbols. As Aya reached out, her gloved finger hovering over the carvings, the symbols began to glow with a soft, internal blue light. A low hum filled the cavern, and with a grinding sound of stone on stone that had not been heard for an unimaginable time, the doorway slid open, revealing a passage into utter blackness. Stepping through the portal, Aya entered a chamber of breathtaking scale. The air here was different, thicker, warmer, and, breathable, her suit's sensors confirmed. The cavern was lit by the same glowing blue symbols that adorned the entrance, which were etched across the walls, floor, and ceiling in vast, complex circuits. In the center of the chamber stood a colossal, multifaceted crystal, pulsing with the same slow, rhythmic energy she had felt on the surface. It was the heart of the mountain, the source of the dream beat. This was no natural cave, it was a machine room. As she moved closer to the central crystal, the symbols on the walls brightened and images began to form in her mind, not as thoughts but as pure direct understanding. She saw a civilization, ancient and wise, arriving on a young, barren Mars. They did not conquer the planet, they nurtured it. They built this place, this vast engine, not as a weapon, but as a tool of creation. Olympus Mons was not a volcano, it was a terraforming engine, designed to gradually build an atmosphere, to warm the planet, to bring forth life from the red dust. The eruptions were controlled releases of gases and water vapor. The vision showed her the builders, tall and slender beings, their work complete, departing into the stars, leaving the great engine to its slow geological task. They had planted a seed of life and left it to grow. The machine had been running for millions of years, slowly, patiently transforming Mars. The floating shadows were exhaust, the hum was its lifeblood. Aya stood in the heart of the machine, realizing the third and most profound secret: humans were not the first intelligent life to visit Mars. They were merely the first to return and find the cradle still gently rocking. Standing there, bathed in the soft blue light of an ancient technology, Aya finally understood. The rhythmic pulse she felt on the surface was not the dream of a sleeping volcano. It was the steady, patient work of a planetary engine, the heartbeat of a world in the slow process of being born. Olympus Mons was never just a mountain, it was a heart, built by gardeners of worlds and left to beat for eons, slowly pumping the breath of life into the cold veins of Mars. The secrets were not meant to be hidden, but to be discovered when the planet's new children were ready to understand. Aya looked back towards the tunnel, towards her own world, and felt an overwhelming sense of humility and wonder. The universe, which had seemed so vast and empty, was suddenly filled with an ancient and profound purpose. The ghosts of the eruptions, the dreams of the mountain, the city beneath the dust, it was all part of a story so grand it defied imagination. This single discovery rewrote everything humanity thought it knew about its place in the cosmos. We were not alone, and we never had been. We were inheritors of a legacy we never knew existed. What other wonders lie dormant beneath the crimson sands of Mars, or locked in the ice of Europa, or drifting in the methane clouds of Titan? Olympus Mons was just one mountain on one planet. Its revelation opens a door to infinite possibilities. As Aya prepared to share her discovery with a world that would be forever changed, she knew this was not an ending, but a beginning. The age of exploration had just truly begun, and the silent, watchful planets of our solar system still hold their secrets, waiting for us to ask the right questions.